This is just a little aside for anybody who happens to be left-handed like me and needs to flip their mesh over. I said I would be right back with the flip mesh, and I was going to do it all behind the scenes, but I figured that there's some instructive kind of techniques to be learned from doing this. Okay, so first thing, the thing we're going to try to do with this is we're going to use, in deformation, we're going to use mirror. Okay, if we hit mirror, it says this function cannot be applied to a mesh with multiple subdivision levels. Okay, that's a bit of a problem because we've already subdivided and we're happy with what we have. But I have a plan, and my cunning plan is to delete our lower subdivisions and mirror it. But we get another note that says we can't delete subdivisions with a layer mode recording. So I'm just going to go into this layer, which we haven't used yet, and bake all. Okay, so that gets rid of the layer. I can now delete all my lower subdivisions, and you can see my polyframe switches from a sparse view to a dense view where it's outlining every polygon in my roughly 700,000 polygon mesh. Okay, so now we're actually free to go in and mirror this, and you can see one little flip does the job, but we're left with no subdivision levels. But for a long time in ZBrush, you've been able to recreate lower subdivisions from higher subdivision meshes with no history. And as long as the mesh that you have was achieved through subdivision, meaning one polygon resulted in 4 polygons for every polygon in the mesh, you can use something called Reconstruct Subdiv Surface to essentially rebuild your subdivision history. So if I hit this once, you can see I now have 2 levels of subdivision in my slider. And you can just iteratively reconstruct until you're back to your base level. And so now I have 3 subdivisions, 4 subdivisions, and hopefully you can see where this is going. Eventually we'll get back to the original tool. As you go, it takes progressively longer to reconstruct. I have one more to go. And then we'll be back to the original, and we'll have a right hand for everybody who's left-handed. Okay, so it's just calculating this last subdivision, which is the expensive one, because it has to offset all the upper levels all the way up to 700,000. There we go. And you can see there we have a fully functioning subtool. All the work that we've already done is intact. Have our polygroups, we have subdivisions, and the only thing we have to do is put our edit layer back on, which is easy enough. And we'll call this edits or whatever I called it before. Doesn't matter. Okay, a few quick techniques for you. Hope that was useful. Thanks.